The Syrian-Iraqi and Iranian meeting in Tehran discusses means of finding political solutions and cooperation to combat terrorism. Syrian Arab Army units target terrorists in Daraa and Qunaitira countryside and inflict heavy losses upon them in Hama and Homs countryside. Saudi airstrikes against Yemen leave thousands of victims, mostly women and children, dead and wounded.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Irado Krikorian from the News Center in Damascus. Syria, Iran and Iraq held a tripartite meeting in Tehran today at the level of the Deputy and Assistant Foreign Ministers to discuss political solutions and cooperation in combating terrorism and helping enhance peace, security and stability in the area. The representatives of the three countries affirmed that the meeting will mark the beginning of a series of other meetings that aim to increase cooperation to confront the dangers facing the peoples of the region, particularly that of terrorism and Takfiri thought, pointing out that the invitation is open to all the countries that desire to cooperate in confronting terrorism. Deputy Foreign and Expatriates Minister Dr. Faisal al-Muqdad said in his word at the meeting that the only and main objective of this meeting is to realize security and stability for our countries, the region and the world, and to preserve our country's sovereignty and independence. Al-Muqdad affirmed that the Iranian call to enhance cooperation is not confined to three states only, but is open to all the countries that want to cooperate in the face of terrorism. Syria's permanent representative to the UN, Dr. Bashar Jaafari, has affirmed that the Israeli entity's policy is not concerned with peace, as Israel has occupied the Syrian Golan and the city of Jerusalem, committed crimes against humanity, assaulted Islamic and Christian sanctities, and tried to impose the so-called the state's Jewish identity. In a statement delivered during a high-ranking session at the UN General Assembly entitled Promoting Tolerance and Reconciliation, Fostering Peaceful, Inclusive Societies and Countering Violent Extremism, Dr. Al-Jaafari referred to the Zionist occupation entity's violations of human rights in the occupied Syrian Golan and the plundering of the Golan's natural resources, calling on the UN to force the Zionist entity to stop the policy of arbitrary detention against the inhabitants of the occupied Golan and to release all the prisoners, particularly prisoner Sidq al-Maqt, who has uncovered the Zionist entity's relations with the extremist terrorist groups. Al-Jaafari added that the Israeli entity and Saudi Arabia have deeply planted terrorism in the region. He affirmed that Syria will cut any hand of aggression targeting it. He stressed that the policy of the states that support terrorism in the region has left deep wounds that will not heal easily, adding that the Syrians reserve their right to bring to account those who are involved in the Syrian bloodshed and the destruction of infrastructure in the country. Russia's permanent representative to the UN, Vitaly Churkin, has underlined Russia's determination to continue its efforts to enhance inter-Syrian dialogue. During a UN Security Council's session to discuss the situation in the Middle East, Churkin said, "It is almost impossible to get close to the implementation of the Geneva Agreement without a direct contact between the Syrian government and the rational opposition. We, on our part," he added, "will continue to enhance Syrian internal dialogue." Churkin expressed hope that the mechanisms reached in Moscow would be more enhanced thanks to the efforts of the UN Special Envoy to Syria, Staffan de Mistura. The UN General Secretariat, on the other hand, said it highly appreciated the Russian efforts aimed at holding an inter-Syrian dialogue, including the 2 rounds of consultative meetings held in January and April this year. Welcome back. Syrian Arab Army units carried out more operations targeting positions of terrorist organizations in areas all around the country, killing increasing numbers of their members and leaving their hideouts destroyed. Units of the Syrian Arab Army and armed forces killed terrorists of Jabhat al-Nusra organization north of Tal al-Mal in the countryside of the southern Daraa province. More than 40 terrorists were killed in Busr al-Harir in the countryside of the province.
In Hamas, Syrian Arab Army units killed a number of terrorists in Al-Khashabiyya, Jabal al-Sayyid and the area east of Morek town in the countryside of the central Hama province. In Al-Qunaitira countryside, a unit of the Syrian Arab Army destroyed armored vehicles used by terrorists, killing and wounding dozens of Al-Nusra terrorists south of Ajraf village in the governorate's northern countryside. In Aleppo, Syrian Arab Army units today focused operations on Queiris and Der Hafer in the governorate's southern and eastern countryside. This came, a military source said, in the wake of close follow-up of terrorist movements and gatherings, affirming that all the set objectives have been accurately targeted. He added that a number of armed men have been killed or wounded and terrorist hideouts destroyed in 3 villages 50 kilometers east of Aleppo. In Iraq, a security source reported that fierce clashes erupted between Iraqi troops and ISIL terrorist groups north of Tikrit. The source added that Iraqi troops are achieving more progress to clear the highway between Al-Mazra'a village and BG oil refinery north of Tikrit. The Iraqi Interior Ministry declared that 54 explosive devices were dismantled in BG district. Meanwhile, 7 people were killed and 14 others were wounded following a terrorist car explosion in Al-Talibiyya area east of the capital, Baghdad. Saudi Arabia and the countries allied with it in its aggression against Yemen failed to achieve any of its objectives as the Yemeni people stood fast to absorb the crimes committed by the Saudi regime. The spokesman for the Saudi aggression declared that the military campaign has stopped after 1 month, adding that the so-called Restoring Hope operation will follow. News reports and international organizations confirm that 950 people were killed in Yemen, mostly women and children. The number of Saudi airstrikes exceeded 2,500, destroying civilian infrastructure like bridges, hospitals, sport facilities, and public institutions. Finally, Speaker of Iran's Shura Council, Ali Larijani, said today that Saudi Arabia has not achieved its goals in Yemen. In a statement at a plenary session of the Shura Council, Larijani criticized Saudi Arabia's announcement that it has achieved its goals in Yemen and asked whether what has happened in Yemen over the last 27 days and the killing of more than 1,000 people, men, women and children, as well as leaving thousands others wounded and destroying the country's infrastructure, were all the goals of the Saudi operation in Yemen. Larijani asserted that this aggressive, unwise behavior is not consistent with the identity of an Islamic country. With this, we conclude our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business and market news with Serena, but after a short break.